life. Sure. You can get any man you want going, and you do it. And don't say you don't know you do. Well, baby, I ain't gonna eat out my heart anymore. I ain't gonna eat out my heart anymore. So quit it. I love you, I do, girl. But you ain't gonna cheat on me. I need you, I do, girl. Choose, is it him or me?
Okay, you fans of popular culture of the 20th century, and especially you fans of the beautiful Natalie Wood, I'm gonna take you fans to see the home where she lived for 2 years from 1954 to 1956 when she was filming Rebel Without a Cause. We're in Sherman Oaks, California. This is Valley Vista Boulevard, and I just want to say incidentally here, it was kind of odd that this is where James Dean moved to the last summer, and he lived on Sutton Street, only one block north of where the fantastic actress, the young actress at that time, Natalie Wood, lived with her sister LANA, her mom Maria, and her dad Nick. She had been working consistently since 5 years old, and they actually, at first, they lived in West Hollywood when they came from Santa Rosa, California, and then they moved to West Hollywood, and that's where she lived when she was filming with Orson Welles' Tomorrow is Forever and Claudette Colbert in 1945. Okay, in this house, she dated Perry Lopez, who later became famous in Chinatown, Lieutenant Lou Escobar, Martin Milner of Adam 12 fame, Route 66. She dated Nick Adams and Dennis Hopper, and she also dated Lance Revenlow, the last guy, one of the last people to ever talk to James Dean. And here it is for you fans all over the world. 15036 Valley Vista, and here it is where the famous, well, she was 16 years old going on 17, and they started filming Rebel Without a Cause March 30th, 1955. Now when she moved here a day after her 16th birthday in 1954, that would have been July 20th, and let me parenthetically say here is Sutton Street, where James Dean lived, and that's to the right, but we're gonna go back around one more time for you fans. Now in this house, she first met Jimmy November of 1954. She did a TV teleplay called I Am a Fool. You can see that on YouTube with Eddie Albert. She did that. That was a TV, it was a General Electric Theater. And let's get another shot from this angle. Valley Vista, Sherman Oaks. And let me add here, and this is the neighborhood that Clint Eastwood lived in before he went to Italy to film the spaghetti westerns. Now, I got this address from reading the 2001 biography Natasha by Suzanne Finstad. But LANA, when she wrote her biography in '83, she said it was where they lived when Natalie was filming Rebel Without a Cause. They were living in Laurel Canyon. So I'm going to go by the sources of this author, Suzanne Finstad. We're going to turn around. Okay, let me say here that she did 3 teleplays living here, and she did 7 films. She did I Am a Fool. That was a teleplay, like I said. Then she did One Desire with Rock Hudson and Ann Baxter. She did Rebel Without a Cause, like I said, from March to April 10th, 1955, and then she went right into filming the Searchers with Jeffrey Hunter and John Wayne. That's the film that John Wayne kept on saying, that'll be the day. And that's the film that in Texas, Lubbock, Texas, Buddy Holly and the Crickets got the idea for that song, That'll Be the Day. Okay, LANA was 9 years old. She played the character that Natalie was playing in the film as a 9-year-old who got kidnapped by Comanches in Northwest Texas, I guess somewhere in the 1870s. And then she was in New York City the day that James Dean died, outside of Paso Robles, California, September 30th, Friday. She was in New York. She was going to film Heidi, a TV special. And get this synchronicity. She was going to star in that TV movie with Joe Van Fleet, who played the character's mother in East of Eden that James Dean played, Kate, Joe Van Fleet. And then she got invited to a dinner by Richard Davalos, who was Aaron Trask in East of Eden with James Dean. He invited her along with Sal Mineo and Nick Adams. They were in Warner Brothers. They were doing publicity in New York. So they were all these three persons who had been in a film with James Dean. They were all together, and at the moment, the next day, Natalie remembered. She said the moment that they were talking about Jimmy at the table at dinner, they were all saying that Jimmy wouldn't live past 30. And then Nick Adams says he's gonna die. I know he's gonna die before 30. And then Natalie goes, no, he'll outlive all of us. Well, as you know, Sal Mineo, he died two days before Valentine's Day, 1976, stabbed in the heart. That was a weird situation. Then he was carrying Valentine's cupcakes. Sal Mineo, poor guy, he was actually 37. Okay, we're headed east so you fans can see how close James Dean lived to Natalie. And okay, and then of course PIER Angeli, the woman that he wanted to marry, she died of an overdose at 39. And then of course the guy that was at that dinner table, Nick Adams, he died at age 36 in 1969 of an overdose. And of course poor Natalie died at age 43, drowning off San Clemente. Okay, they said, LANA said as a little girl, she remembers Jimmy coming to their house a couple of times. And LANA said that she remembered when Jimmy came in and sang a complete song to Maria, their mother, in Russian. Maria was from Russia. And when I followed the logic, I figured, well, he lived at this house. He was renting it from the maitre d'. It was a friend of his from the Via Capri. His name was Nico Romano, so he was Russian. And here it is. I've already done the video for you fans. So that's where he would have learned how to sing in Russian to Maria, to get on her good side. And getting back to that house that we just left, Maria called them the Rebel Boys, Nick Adams and Dennis Hopper. She didn't trust them, so at this house that I went to, she built a kidney-shaped pool so she could keep her eyes on the Rebel Boys, she said. Okay, so anyway, that next day, Natalie, being the inveterate actress that she was, she did Heidi with Joe Van Fleet. And then I'm making a U, so you fans, I did this already, so you can go to my channel and see the video I did here. That's not the house, unfortunately. It was a log cabin. It burned down ironically the next day, and a lot of his stuff was stolen. Well, Natalie said she was visiting here with her girlfriend Mary Ann, and she said that she filched one of Jimmy's scrapbooks. She said that it had his favorite poem, the poem Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. And then he had pictures of babies. He loved innocent babies. And then she said he had among all the stuff in his scrapbook, he had a little article cut out, and it was entitled Ways Boys Can Get a Dog. And somehow she took it back. Okay, so she married in apparently January 1957, but she married Robert Wagner. She would have been 20, and Robert was RJ, they call him, was 28. They married in Scottsdale, Arizona, and then her parents moved out of here December of 1956. So like I said, going back to the book, the biography, Natasha, I'm gonna go with what she says. I'm gonna believe the author would have checked her sources, and I'm gonna say that what with Lana being a little kid, she wouldn't have been probably clear, and then when she wrote it, Maria was already too old. Nick had already died, the father. So I'm gonna say this is where she lived. And I wanted to say that I don't know if the world knows, but Natalie was dating Elvis Presley while she lived here from August 56 to about November 56, because she went to Memphis for a weekend and stayed over the Halloween weekend with Elvis. And there's pictures of her in the back of the motorcycle Elvis is driving. Well, Elvis would have come and picked her up here, and he hung out with Nick Adams. And one thing about Elvis, they said the reason why he wanted to meet Natalie is because he was obsessed with James Dean. He was constantly asking her, what was he like? What did he eat? What did he say? How did he dress? What was he like? He was obsessed, always talking about James Dean. And of course, Nick Adams was a friend of James Dean. And I'm going around, and if you want to come here, it's between Stone Canyon Road and Sutton Place, ironically, like I said, where James Dean lived the last summer of 1955. You're getting a little idea. Like I said, this is where Clint Eastwood lived before he went to Italy to make his mark in those fantastic films. A Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more. And of course, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Three of the greatest films, in my opinion, in cinema. The Good, Bad, and the Ugly being my numero uno favorite of all time. I must have seen that 5,000 times. Okay, let's go around. Dennis Hopper and Nick Adams, they were friends, they were roommates at the time. So they were constantly hanging around. Oh yeah, and I wanted to say the films, after she did The Searchers and Heidi, she did a film with Raymond Burr while living here called Cry in the Night. And then she did two with Tab Hunter, The Burning Hills, and The Girl He Left Behind. And then she did a teleplay on the NBC Kaiser Aluminum Hour with Dennis Hopper called Carnival. And then the last film she did here was with Carl Malden called Bombers B-52. And then, like I said, her parents moved out of here that December 56. And then they had actually already moved from here to Laurel Canyon, where later the great Mama Cass ended up living there in the 60s. And when she got married, when she came back, her parents gave her the house in Laurel Canyon. And then they moved to Van Nuys, which incidentally, this is where she lived when she graduated from Van Nuys High School that June of 1955, which again is kind of odd because the year before she had a run-in with her co-student Robert Redford, and he wouldn't let her in. All the football fellows were keeping all the kids that were coming late from registration, and she got so frustrated that she said, "You son of a bitch." Well, she never forgot it, and he never did. And ironically, she ended up jump-starting his career in the 1960s, and Sidney Pollack, his friend. So she didn't hold grudges. She had Libra rising, and that made her a beautiful soul inside and out. And when her mother was fleeing the Lenin and the Marxists after they killed the Romanovs, because her mom was rich in Russia, they were on the run from the communists. They were the rich and powerful. They ended up in Manchuria and then in Harbin, China, and her mom consulted